I knew you were special.
And that's what you do. You go around buying drinks for special women.
Yes, but there aren't that many special women out there.
Well, thank you.
A Different World appeared to be just a fun sitcom about college life, but behind the cameras were carefully hidden pressures. These were moments that almost derailed the show entirely. Some stars were humiliated in front of live audiences, while others struggled with creative clashes, and a few daring episodes risked controversy with topics that no other sitcom dared to touch. Yet the series survived and became an iconic one. So, what really happened behind the scenes that fans never got to see? And which secrets did the cast keep hidden for decades? Join us as we uncover what most fans never figured out about their favorite sitcom. From Cosby's shadow to chaos. On the surface, the show appeared to be a hit, one that was loved by all. Millions tuned in weekly, and it sat in the dream spot between The Cosby Show and Cheers. But behind the scenes, fans had no idea the cheerful image was masking a storm that nearly brought the show to a halt. It all began with The Cosby Show, which was the biggest series on TV at the time. The show single-handedly rewrote the rules of family sitcoms. Owing to its success, NBC got a brilliant idea. They wanted to capitalize on a spin-off, following Denise as she left home for college. But here's the twist. The show wasn't even supposed to be about Denise at first. The original pitch followed a white student at a historically black college, and Meg Ryan was considered for the lead role. When that idea shifted, producers kept the culture clash angle by pairing Denise with a white roommate, played by Marisa Tomei, who later became an Oscar winner. Even with a Cosby star attached, the production was chaotic. The first pilot was scrapped. Then 3 more episodes were filmed and trashed. A desperate overhaul gave producers just 6 weeks to rebuild everything before the premiere. When it finally aired in 1987, A Different World pulled huge ratings, but the critics tore it apart. Reviews slammed it as bland, childish, and utterly fake. Rotten Tomatoes still shows a dismal 11% score for Season 1. Writers complained it did not feel like an authentic HBCU. Students at Hillman College were often seen socializing, but rarely studying or attending classes. The show was a rating success, but a creative disaster, and the worst was still to come. The numbers said one thing, but the critics said another, and the clash created a storm brewing behind the scenes. If Season 1 was already under fire, what would happen when the spotlight shifted from Hillman's shaky campus life to its troubled leading star? Text-wrapping break. Denise versus Destiny. The real storm behind A Different World was just about to begin, and no one was prepared for the outcome. After surviving a messy first season, the show was finally finding its footing, but a behind-the-scenes battle involving its brightest star nearly ended it all. That star was Lisa Bonet. She was stylish, magnetic, and the main reason the spin-off existed. NBC had built A Different World entirely around her character, Denise Huxtable. However, in the summer of 1988, Bonet made a surprising announcement that shook the series. She and her husband, rock musician Lenny Kravitz, were expecting their first child. At first, the news seemed like an opportunity. Debbie Allen, the award-winning director and choreographer newly brought in to save the struggling series, saw a storyline unfolding in front of her. To Allen, Denise facing pregnancy while in college could be groundbreaking television. She wanted A Different World to reflect the real challenges young people faced, not just light-hearted dorm room antics. A pregnancy plotline could finally give the show weight and honesty. But Bill Cosby, who controlled both The Cosby Show and its spin-off, had other plans. He rejected the idea outright. For Cosby, Denise Huxtable had been carefully crafted over 4 seasons as the fun, slightly rebellious but respectable daughter of an ideal black family. He believed audiences would never accept her as a single, unwed mother in college. To him, that storyline threatened the pristine image of the Huxtables, a brand he guarded fiercely. This clash set off a fierce behind-the-scenes struggle. On one side stood Debbie Allen, pushing to expand the show with meaningful, realistic stories. On the other stood Cosby, determined to protect the family-friendly image that made him a superstar. In the middle was Lisa Bonet, who was simply living her life but now carried the weight of the show's future on her shoulders. Ultimately, Cosby's authority won. Denise Huxtable would not be pregnant on screen. With no compromise in sight, the decision was made. Lisa Bonet had to leave a different world. Her character was quietly written out, explained away with a simple line that Denise had dropped out of Hillman College and returned home. Fans watching at the time were unaware of the truth. To them, it was just a plot adjustment. Behind the scenes, it was the result of weeks of tension and clashing visions. Bonet's exit marked a turning point for the series. What began as a star-driven spin-off suddenly had to survive without the very actress it was created for. Yet strangely, her departure also gave Debbie Allen the freedom she wanted. No longer tied to Denise, she reshaped a different world into a bold, authentic portrayal of life at a historically black college, something the critics had said was missing all along. But in that turbulent summer of 1988, no one knew how things would play out. What they did know was that a hidden battle of control, image, and identity had pushed the show to the edge, and Lisa Bonet was the one who paid the price. However, the show wasn't done changing, because out of that chaos came a new force determined to reshape Hillman's future. Could a different world be saved by fresh vision and bold leadership? Debbie Allen's transformation. Years after A Different World first aired, Jasmine Guy, best known for her portrayal of Whitley Gilbert, spoke openly about the difficult treatment her co-star, Lisa Bonet, endured. According to Jasmine, the producers often humiliated Lisa in front of the live studio audience. They raised their voices, pointed fingers in her face, and demanded that she just say the lines. What should have been a professional environment turned hostile and demeaning. The tension grew so unbearable that Jasmine could no longer ignore it. Out of loyalty to her friend, she decided to take a stand. She marched into the producer's office and offered her 2-week notice, explaining that she had no interest in being part of a show that treated its cast so poorly. When asked if anything had happened to her personally, Jasmine refused to back down. "If it happens to her, it happens to me," she told them. "You're not just disrespecting Lisa, you're disrespecting all of us, including Sinbad. I feel as if it's happening to me." It was a courageous move, but the show was already unraveling. With its leading actress gone and morale shattered, A Different World teetered on the edge of cancellation. It was at this point Debbie Allen fully stepped in. Debbie was no stranger to saving troubled projects. Known for her sharp vision and boundless energy, she stepped into the role of producer and director when the show's future looked bleak. Many thought the task was impossible, but Debbie had an advantage the original creators lacked. She understood the culture the show was meant to represent. A proud graduate of Howard University, one of the nation's most respected HBCUs, Debbie knew the real experiences of students at historically black colleges. She recognized that the show lacked authenticity, and she set out to change that. Her first step was reimagining the set. The campus restaurant, the pit, had looked staged and flat. Debbie redesigned it so it felt alive, more like a true gathering place. The kitchen became visible, and workers bustled in the background, adding layers of realism. She also overhauled the wardrobe. Gone were the generic, cartoonish cheerleader-style outfits. In their place came fashion that reflected the era and the individuality of young black students navigating college life. But Debbie didn't stop with visuals. She believed the energy of the cast mattered just as much as the set. To build discipline and unity, she introduced mandatory morning workouts. Each day before filming, the cast did stretches, sit-ups, and other exercises to sharpen their focus and create a sense of camaraderie. What once felt like a fractured set slowly transformed into a team. Debbie Allen's influence reshaped A Different World into a cultural landmark. What had been dismissed as a failing spin-off of The Cosby Show became a powerful reflection of black college life, inspiring generations of students to pursue higher education. Which other transformations did the show undergo, and were they for the better? Love in the shadows. With Lisa Bonet's exit, Debbie Allen knew a different world couldn't survive by leaning on a single star. She shifted the focus to the students of Hillman College, turning the sitcom into a true ensemble. Two characters who had been secondary in the first season, the spoiled Southern belle Whitley Gilbert and the quirky math genius Dwayne Wayne, were brought to the center. That move would spark one of television's most iconic love stories, a relationship that fans still celebrate today. Debbie also wanted the stories to feel authentic. To achieve this, she did something radical for Hollywood at the time. Every year, she took her entire writing staff on research trips to Atlanta. They visited campuses like Spelman and Morehouse, walking the dorms, observing fashion trends, and speaking directly with students and professors. The trips were more than just research. They provided the writers with a living blueprint of HBCU culture. Some of the show's most powerful episodes were born from conversations and real experiences gathered during these visits. Another bold move was how Debbie empowered her cast. Instead of treating them as just performers, she invited them into the storytelling process. She asked each actor to write down 10 ideas they wanted their characters to explore. Many of those suggestions found their way into the scripts. For the first time, the cast felt that their voices mattered, and their lived experiences were shaping the show. That sense of collaboration not only deepened their performances, but also brought Hillman to life in ways that resonated with millions of viewers. But Debbie's most defining contribution was her fearlessness. Unlike The Cosby Show, which stayed clear of sensitive issues, a different world confronted them head-on. Under her leadership, Hillman students tackled apartheid in South Africa, the HIV/AIDS epidemic, sexual assault, domestic violence, and other pressing social issues. The series grew beyond comedy.
That's true. But if I come here, I can show the women of Gilbert Hall that I am a man who's not afraid to do my own laundry.
Dwayne, my detergent.
It became a mirror of society and a cultural conversation starter, sparking discussions in households across America. While the show thrived on screen, its off-screen dynamics carried their own drama. The chemistry between characters was electric, especially the roller coaster romance between Dwayne and Whitley. What fans didn't know, however, was that this spark was fueled by real emotions behind the scenes. Cast members formed close bonds, and secret romances quietly unfolded away from the cameras. The biggest revelation came years later. Kadeem Hardison, who played Dwayne, had a real-life relationship with Cree Summer, the actress who played the free-spirited activist Freddie Brooks. Their romance lasted about 3 years, from 1989 to 1992, during the height of the show's success. While audiences rooted for Dwayne and Whitley, the actual love story was blossoming between Kadeem and Cree. Debbie Allen's vision didn't just rescue a struggling sitcom, it transformed it into a groundbreaking series. By shifting the focus, empowering her team, and daring to tell the truth, she gave a different world its soul. What started as a shaky spin-off became a cultural landmark, both on and off the screen. But behind the laughter and lessons, real-life stories were unfolding. How did the bonds formed on set, friendships, first loves, and secret confessions shape the people we came to adore on screen? Legendary scenes, risky truths. Cree and Kadeem's love story began with friendship. They were inseparable, bonding over motorcycles and comic books long before romance entered the picture. One day during a ride, Cree pulled over and confessed, "I love you." Kadeem was stunned, but soon realized his best friend was also the one he loved. Later, Cree would describe him as her blueprint for a first love, kind, generous, and hilarious. Though they eventually broke up before the show ended, they managed to stay close, even sneaking a playful kiss in the opening credits of Season 5. But before dating Cree, Kadeem had fallen hard for another co-star, Jasmine Guy. They first met on Spike Lee's School Days. Kadeem, just 20, was smitten, while Jasmine, 24, thought he was too young. At a party, Kadeem was so enchanted that he asked the DJ to replay a slow song so he could dance with her longer. Love stories weren't limited to them. Daryl M. Bell, who played Ron Johnson, met Cosby Show star Tempest Bledsoe when she guest starred on the show in 1989. A few years later, they began dating, and their relationship has lasted for more than 3 decades, without marriage, but filled with love. Still, romance wasn't the only drama. The show's most iconic moment, the church wedding scene where Dwayne interrupts Whitley's vows, almost didn't happen. Both Jasmine and Kadeem hated the idea. Jasmine called it corny, while Kadeem thought it made his character look like a backstabber. He pitched a different ending, but the writers refused to accept it. When filming came, Kadeem froze mid-scene and forgot his lines. Out of raw emotion, he blurted out, "Baby, please, please."
From this day forth to having a hole and richer for poorer, baby, please, please.
I do!
That improvised plea became television history, turning what the actors feared would flop into one of the most legendary scenes ever captured in a single take. What began as a simple scene became unforgettable when raw emotion turned into television history. Kadeem's improvised plea left audiences gasping and cemented a moment that no one would forget. But A Different World wasn't just about iconic scenes. Its legacy reached far beyond Hillman College. How far was the show willing to go to tackle real-world issues, even when controversy threatened to shut it down? Legacies beyond Hillman. In 1991, Debbie Allen set her sights on a subject no sitcom had dared to touch: the HIV/AIDS crisis. The episode, If I Should Die Before I Wake, was meant to confront fear and misinformation head-on. But when advertisers caught wind of the plan, panic spread. Sponsors pulled out, unwilling to associate their brands with such a controversial topic. The episode was nearly scrapped. Allen refused to back down. She called on her friend, Whoopi Goldberg, one of the most respected stars in the world. Whoopi agreed immediately to guest star, giving the network the courage to defy its sponsors. The episode aired and became the highest rated in the show's history. Allen later reflected that Whoopi's decision may have saved millions of lives by bringing truth and compassion to a terrified public. The cast of A Different World had always fought to give the series depth and meaning, and their lives after Hillman College carried that same spirit, filled with victories, heartbreaks, and resilience. Sinbad, who played the lovable dorm director Walter Oakes, left after the 4th season and went on to find success in stand-up comedy and films like House Guest and Jingle All the Way. But in 2020, at 64, he suffered a devastating ischemic stroke that paralyzed his left side. His family kept his condition private while he endured grueling therapy. Today, he is slowly relearning to walk, vowing to one day stride across a stage again. Darrell M. Bell, the smooth-talking Ron Johnson, faced a different kind of trial. His father, Travers Bell Jr., a trailblazer on Wall Street, died unexpectedly in 1988, leaving a 24-year-old Darrell to manage a $14 million estate. While still acting on the show, he was dragged into a painful legal battle when relatives accused him of mismanaging funds. Though the case was dismissed, the ordeal left lasting scars. Dawn Lewis, who played the ambitious Jalisa Vinson, co-wrote the show's iconic theme song, but was barred from singing it, producers fearing it would spotlight her too much. After 5 seasons, she left for Hangin' with Mr. Cooper, only to be written out after 1 season when the show shifted direction. Lewis later spoke openly about the barriers black actresses face in Hollywood. Meanwhile, Cree Summer, who brought Freddie Brooks to life, built an empire behind the mic. After A Different World, she became one of the most celebrated voice actors in animation, giving life to over 100 characters, including Susie Carmichael in Rugrats, Elmira Duff in Tiny Toon Adventures, and Foxy Love in Drawn Together. Jasmine Guy and Kadeem Hardison also forged lasting careers. Guy took on roles in The Vampire Diaries and Harlem, while also becoming a respected director and activist. Hardison remained a steady presence in film and television, starring in KC Undercover and appearing in Black Monday and The Chi. What began as a bland spin-off on the verge of cancellation became one of television's greatest comeback stories. Thanks to Debbie Allen's fearless leadership, A Different World grew into a cultural landmark, inspiring countless students to pursue education at HBCUs. Decades later, its relevance endures, and the cast continues to share its legacy on sold-out tours. The show's Polish was built on struggle, and its heart was forged in defiance. That is the true secret of A Different World.
If you were a fan of the show A Different World, Craig, I know that you were.
Which character on the show was your favorite, and why? Could A Different World have survived without Debbie Allen's vision, or would it have completely fallen apart? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.